Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Taste the Trends Theatre here on day 2 of Speciality Fine Food Show. We've got a fabulous demonstration and talk. I'm going to hand you over to the wonderful John Farron from the Guild of Fine Food, who's going to talk about the Golden Fork winner. So, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause, please, John Farron.
Really, good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely to see you all here. Wonderful show. I trust we've got some eminent retailers in our audience, some wonderful journalists and people who are interested in food and drink excellence. I'm going to tell you a wee bit about the Guild of Fine Food and Great Taste and what it does. Really, the Great Taste established in 1994 as a mechanism to identify and hero wonderful food and drink products and the producers who make them. And that is important. Food with personality, people who understand their product, they understand their ingredients listing. We judge every year our judges judge 14,000 products between the middle of March and the middle of June. We have a panel of 500 wonderful experts who are drawn from the food and drink industry. Some of them chefs, some of them retailers, some of them food writers. Every discipline within food and drink. And they judge those 14,000 products at 2 judging locations, one in London, one in Dorset. And they sit and analyze the products blind, so they don't see the packaging. It's all about the product. They assess about 20 products in a session, and it might be a bacon, it might be a coffee, it might be a cake, it might be a jam. They're judging each product blind on its own merits. They identify whether that's worthy of a 1, 2, or 3 star or no award. And worth mentioning actually that 70% of the products that enter Great Taste don't get any award at all. So when you're wandering around this show and you see a 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, they've really earned that accreditation. It's gone through several layers of judging, several, probably some of the higher awards, 20 or 30 judges have assessed the product. So it's really hard to get those stars. So over those 90 judging days between March and June, we're judging the 14,000 products. We have the 1 star, the 2 star, the 3 star, and then those 3 stars are judged again in July by another panel of experts to whittle it down and to identify the high scoring products. And just to give you some scale, this year 14,000 entries, only 241 products gained a 3 star. So incredibly difficult to get that 3 star rating. From those 241, they're judged again over 3 days by another panel of about 40 or 50 judges. And from that, the highest scoring products go towards winning our Golden Forks. The Golden Forks being glibly described as the Oscars of fine food, and we give out 16 or 17 Golden Forks. And we did that last night at our awards ceremony, a lot like the Oscars, lots of glamorous people, a few glasses of wine, some wonderful food. I'm not sure there was a red carpet, but perhaps we should have done. And a wonderful thing, we gave out the Golden Forks, everyone got very excited, and we brought the whole thing to a climax where ultimately, and rather sadly sometimes, we have to have a supreme champion. I like to hear some great smells coming from Rick there. That's really good. But ultimately, we have to have a big winner. And this year, the big winner, very interesting. Not perhaps something, the most obvious choice that you would have, but as we brought the thing to a climax, very, very tense. And on the judging day, it was very, very close between the last 16 products. But the big winner came out, and I'm pleased to say the man is here, and his product, more importantly, is here. As lovely as this man is, what we really want is his product. And the big winner was a fermented fresh green peppercorn. And the man who imports it, brings it to this country, is Michael, and he's here with us. Michael, come and join us. Big round of applause. That one. Let's give you a microphone. Let's do, I think it's on.
Yeah,
it's
testing.
on. Let's do the romantic bit first. You're in this room, Southwark Cathedral last night. Beautiful setting. lots of lovely people, lots of food and drink people. How you've got one golden fork originally. Tell us how that felt, and then when you learned you were supreme champion, how was that?
So we actually, the first Golden Fork we won was the best international product, because it's still all a bit fuzzy at the moment, really, because it all happened so fast. So you've got to imagine you're in the same room as the 36 other amazing products that have all been nominated for Golden Fork. And so because I work directly with farmers in Cambodia, I've done that for approximately 10 years, but they've been doing this for about 20 years. Quite a long journey. So we're in obviously the international category in that respect. So when it was announced that we'd won that was the initial first stage of shock. And then subsequently something else happened not too long after, which was even more surreal.
You were telling me that actually it was at this show that you had the idea of, hold on a minute, I should be entering this award with this wonderful pepper. When was that? How long ago was that? Tell me about that sort of journey to this moment.
Yeah, so our discussion started with the farmers and our food processor, who do all the natural processing of the product after harvest, a company called FarmLink. And we were exploring ways to bring it to market, because a lot of the time it had been imported into other areas of Europe. It was just sort of white labelled, or it went under the radar. But we were trying to work at a partnership in terms of bringing it on board as a brand. So I came to Speciality in 2014, met a lovely lady called Gilly Sitch, and I just approached her because the Fine Food Deli had all the products on it, and I said, look, this is obviously the most prestigious food competition in the UK. We're a brand that hasn't even launched. We expect to launch at the start of 2015. Is it prudent or viable for us to even enter the competition? Because I thought it'd be like more established companies, things like that. And Gilly said, look, if you are actually, by the time you enter the product, if you are actually selling it anywhere, give it a go, see what happens.
Absolutely right. And actually, this year we had entries from 110 different countries. So Great Taste, often assumed or thought of as a UK-only award, but actually we have entries from all over the world. This being a wonderful case in point. Let's have a taste. Can we have a bit of a taste? There we go. So some of the peppers going around. Why don't you give us a mini tutored tasting? Don't tell them what they should be finding, but how should they be tasting this product, Michael?
Right, so if you've not tasted this peppercorn before, don't worry. It's not like you're going to be biting into a solid dried peppercorn. It's actually, because it's been slowly fermented over a month-long process, it's actually quite soft and juicy. It is bathed in fleur de sel, which acts as both a preservative and a flavouring, because our partners at FarmLink are French, and they also taught the local farmers how to make fleur de sel in the Campot region. Mm-hmm. So we obviously incorporate that product, and by the way, that's a standalone business for those guys. Our business has never been about taking over, it's introducing and enhancing, really. So when you try this, you can either, if you have these at home, you can either wash the salt off, but it's a high-end fleur de sel, so you've got effectively salt and pepper in the same packet. Some are a little bit fiery than others. I just spotted a woman on the front row. It's always useful initially when you try them to have maybe a glass of water handy. That's always what we have on our stands wherever we go, just in case.
Yeah. So tell me sourcing, the great skill in this, I'm assuming, is the sourcing, because you've got to find these products, you've got to work with sensible farmers. I mean, is there a season to pepper? Tell us a bit about the raw ingredients.
So pepper is a vine grower. Just like, they look like mini wine grapes hanging on drupes. And the vast majority are on a vine or green. So the reason why I put these four things here is that it's a strange botany on Campot vines, because it produces green, even though they're black, green, black, white, and red, all off the same vine. So green corns, when you take them off the vine initially, you can have them fresh for a few days, but then they're not fit for purpose. So most green corns are dried in the sun, which is what we associate with the normal black pepper we have. But white pepper normally comes in a lot of vines from taking the outer husk off the black. Whereas this is different. You get the green corns on the vine, and then you get little red corns, or they're orange. And when you take them off, and by the way, they're all picked by hand, but the red corns are literally picked corn by corn.
Okay.
And you dry them in the sun, and they go dark red. But the white is for the almost overripe red corns on the vine, that when they're taken off the vine and you naturally wash them, you basically get the inner white kernel. So what we've managed to do, and the essence of the green, was how can we try and harness that original fresh green peppercorn without losing any element of the heat or the citrus or the other elements in it, because it is a very multi-dimensional pepper, and a lot of trial and error.
Yep.
You've only got one shot each harvest, so.
And when is that harvest by?
Sorry, so it's 3 to 5 years on the vine before you get generally your first harvest. And then the actual harvest season in Campot generally runs from about April, May to June of what we class as Piper nigrum, which is true pepper. But we grow other products, but they have different cycles. So for instance, we do a long pepper, and that tends to be around sort of the December period. Okay. So yeah, it's quite an intensive process, and obviously it's all finite.
Yep. So I'm hoping, because this is Speciality and Fine Food Fair, we've got some retailers in the audience. I mean, the challenge, I guess, being functional about this is you've got this thing in a shop, in retail. The customer walks in. How do you help retailers to sell this product more effectively? I mean, it's a bit of is it a challenge or not?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. And one of the reasons we entered Great Taste originally was because pepper has become just a commodity. So we were taking pointers, because we have a bit of an internal joke, pepper is the new salt, but we actually use gourmet salt as the moniker for it, because the model was perfect. You have quite a lot of high-end gourmet salts now, but what pepper got lost along the way, I mean, it once was, worth its weight in gold and more, but what's happened over time is that a lot of pepper is very mass-produced, a lot of chemicals. I mean, if you compare, so just as a comparison, this was nearly extinct 20 years ago. It's about 150 tons, maybe more, slightly more or less. But next door in Vietnam, they mass-produce peppercorns, and they do produce some great ones in certain spots, but the vast majority is mass-produced 150,000 tons. Followed quickly by Indonesia, India, and Brazil.
Okay, so that's a good point. So what is that giving us, that a mass-produced pepper? What sort of flavour profile? I'm assuming everyone quite enjoyed that. When I tasted them, there's almost a sweetness there, as well as the pepper and the spike and everything else. What are we getting from these that we don't get from mass-produced?
Right, so they are multi-dimensional in flavour. They may all be off the very same vine, but they all taste completely different. So
but our Supreme Champion, what were they getting there, do you think?
Well, here we go. With the black, so it's got pungency, but it's got lime and eucalyptus. The white is very zesty, long, smooth heat, completely different to most white you'll have ever tried. And the red is smoky and sweet. Now, just to give an example in terms of the versatility, there's a 2 Michelin star restaurant that does an Amalfi lemon ice cream with our white. God knows how. We've had rye IPA beers made with the red. We've got quite a lot of chocolatiers using lots of the others.
Okay.
I mean, but in terms of the default setting, I think a lot of the time retailers have to start with black is always the default in this country. But just going back to when we entered the Great Taste, the very first year we entered, we got 3 stars for the red, which I believe was the very first peppercorn to get 3 stars. There's an amazing Votis Perferi, isn't there, from Madagascar?
Yes.
I think that was the next year. But that in itself helped give us leverage with retailers, because they said, well, how can it get, it's a peppercorn, how can it get 3 stars? And I think the first year the red and the white got 1 each. So at that point we're able to say, well, look, you know, we try and sell it as a triumvirate almost because it is very flexible. But if I was a retailer, I think now I would, the initial suggestion would be, is once people are familiar with the brand and they trust the product, they might then go, oh, I'll experiment with the others. So my advice, ideally, I think would be to start with the black and the fermented.
Okay. And what you really want is someone cooking in your shop. Steve, what has Rick done there with the pepper? He's not on.
1, 2, there we go. So, obviously, with a wonderful product like this that can be used in a number of different ways, we're trying to really make it sing a little bit. So, what I've got Rick to do is we've got some lovely, really, really good grade 5 Wagyu that's just going to be, we've crushed it up because as you said, it's quite soft. It's got a real smoothness to it, made like a paste. Just put that on the outside. We're just going to sear that because then you're just going to get the nice flavour from the pepper, you're going to get the beef. But what we've then done is we said, right, we've made a peppercorn sauce. So a good classic sauce. It's going to go here with this ribeye, but it's not just any ribeye. This is olive-fed ribeye. So there was no way I could get anything other a quality meat product from Freedown for you guys to lift that. But wanted to show you different ways because you tried it as it is, and I wanted to see just on the outside as sort of a seasoning to sort of give the beef. But then again, with just the beef as normal with the sauce, just to really give different notes, because with this it infuses so nicely. It almost changes slightly. You get a lot better, more of a perfume flavour. You get lots of different levels, different notes. It's a fabulous product. It really is. So go on, Rick.
I'm just interested to gauge how many people have sat and tried or tasted pepper like that before, and just in its raw form. It's a bizarre thing to do. What do we think? Lots of nods, bit of thumbs up over there. That's good. I mean, you make an interesting point in there, in that the salt is, for years we've had premium salts. We've had lots of sort of investment or brands that have kind of come to the fore in the salt world. Do you think in the last 2 or 3 years people have become more aware of pepper and how interesting it can be? It's not just a thing in the pepper mill.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've had a lot of traction, which is great for profile with some, very famous chefs.
And off, yeah.
Rick Stein actually visited on his Far Eastern Odyssey. If you've ever seen the program, the guy he meets, the Frenchman he meets in the pepper fields, is our founder, the original, who just lived amongst the people and said, "I need you to go back and farm this, and somehow I'll find you markets as a cooperative." Now, Rick's bought Michelle Roux. Thomasina Myers loves it. Actually made a chicken roast, the black, she said, forget the chicken, the pepper's the star of the show, sort of thing. But it's amazing the combinations that people come up with. But I think the best way we can sort of translate the versatility of it is having it in other products. So we do like collabs a lot, because, like we said, it then introduces other people to the other elements. So we work with Devon producer called Fresh Flour, who basically grow ancient grain streams, do their own cultivation, harvesting, millet, everything. They started making lots of flatbreads and crackers with it. It's in about 6 or 7 of their range. That's the sort of thing that helps us translate the elements, or the positive elements of it, because it's pretty hard at a show saying, would you like to try, a red peppercorn or a white peppercorn?
And more than that for me as well, if you can get it on the menu at good restaurants, or even if you're got a restaurant or a cafe in your deli or farm shop, we always advocate sort of naming the products on the menus. Like you're saying, sort of trying to elevate. It's not just about the chef or the person who's put it together, with the grace of respect, chaps, but it's also about the ingredients and naming the producer on your menu, so it heroes them too.
Yeah, and also because of the complexity and levels of flavours. I mean, when you break down the dried, just the aromatics, I was blown away by them the first time I smelled them. You won't get any smell of the fermented because it's been fermented in a saline solution for a month, but you'll get it all in the flavour. But because of flavour is so intense. We sort of say less is more. You don't need to use as much because a lot of pepper, unfortunately, is heavily irradiated, sterilised. You're just left with the pipery, in which there's the heat element, really. So you lose all the flavour base.
I'm assuming, and I don't know, but I'm assuming that what you're doing in country, if you like, is supporting farmers. I mean, there's always the obvious question, of course, pepper's got to be grown overseas. That's obvious, but the sort of whole supporting societies and being fair to farmers, we see the same in coffee, we see the same in tea. Tell me the story about these people.
So, because of what happened in Cambodia in the 70s, we all know, and then the following 20 years, it was in complete stagnation. There used to be like millions of pepper poles. It was discovered by the French in the earliest 20th century in the sense of, putting it on their gastronomic table. But effectively, nothing happened, like we said, for 20 odd years, the late 90s. It was nearly extinct. There's a slow foods directory called the Ark of Taste, which is for endangered products, and this was nearly extinct. So Jerome Benazes, who I mentioned before, went back to the farmers and said, if I can find markets for you, will you farm it naturally, as you've always done? And so it's always been, and their ethos, so he incorporated in 2006, so fast forward a little bit, but we always, to this day, we only work with farmers that own their own land. So 120 to 140 farmers we work with. But what FarmLink does is, initially after it's harvested, we just take it from them and then do all the secondary, tertiary drying, cleaning, grading, and we've developed loads of natural processes to make it the best possible product it can be. They almost sort of used to use the phrase fairer than fair trade before it was even possible to have fair trade there. So they set up a charter. They helped get it protected status. It's the only pepper in the world that has protected status still. And I mean, there might be some in the near future, maybe. But they built the building blocks to safeguard it, because obviously a PGI protected product has to be farmed in that area, in that way, to a very specific international book of requirements. And yeah, the ethos hasn't changed, but what has changed is FarmLink has then obviously we went into different products at different cycles of the year, because we wanted to give all our processors, there's 50 people, ostensibly women, it's just a cultural thing in Cambodia that are amazing at all the processing and grading and sorting, but we needed other crops to help that. So as we said, the window's April, May to June, so the long pepper fills in a gap 2 or 3 months of the year. There's also a tree sugar, natural tree sugar, and then the fleur de sel that we sell as well. So the great thing that we've got there is that we have expertise all round, all year. It helps support the local villages, and look, these farmers wouldn't work with us if we weren't, it wasn't an equitable relationship and the ethos wasn't there, because there are quite a number of new entrants now.
I think it's an important message, and we see that in Great Taste. Inherently, it's finding and identifying products within simple ingredients listings, made by people who care, less packaging often, and that's something that's become very trendy in the last 4 or 5 years, but Great Taste has been identifying those products for a wee while. But, I mean, being blunt, how on earth are these retailers going to get hold of this product now? It's going to be in sort of, you must have good, wonderful products like this have a scarcity value, surely. There is only so much in the harvest.
Well, well, don't worry. The headache I had when I got home last night thinking, because the thing is, look, the dried, we know we're past masters now at quantity, and because it's shipped all over the world with FarmLink, and the vast majority of the crop was always the dried. But obviously, we've developed this more and more, but it is finite. So, for instance, you are not going to do 1,000 kilos of the fermented unless you think you can move it, because you can't afford to really allow that level of, that's just a hypothetical figure, but you can't afford to have that. So, yeah, the harvest is finite. There will be a finite amount of the fermented, so that's like we say, it's the dilemma I've got. But the thing is now, hopefully, look, the amazing leverage we'll get from the humble peppercorn winning this award will enable us hopefully to work with some partners to say, look, if we can't supply you properly this harvest, look, let's work over the next few months because we're the champion hopefully for a full year.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we then were able to launch at the next harvest and people are able to at least commit to even smaller volumes and say, look, we'll hope to do this, at least we can then say, right, okay, we will make sure we have X amount purely for the UK market. So, yeah, that is a headache.
Where's your golden fork?
The golden fork's at home because I was told that you had a spare because it's massive, and I had to come across on the train.
It's a nice heavy thing.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Don't worry about that. Steve, how's that looking over there? Are you pleased with the results? Nice to work with Rick, the old pepper.
It's nice to work with Rick because I don't have to do so much work. It's amazing.
The pepper I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it's really good. So we've got the sauce is now ready because we've got this lovely little peppercorn sauce that we just used some of the take stock bone broth, and it's really a lovely deep dark colour on that. Got a little bit of whiskey in there as well, just to really.
A little bit of whiskey.
Yeah, it's a little bit of whiskey. But I thought you got a different sort of flavours.
Are we sharing this or are we eating this?
Well, I was looking to share, but I can see here. The good news is we've got the higher ground, isn't it, as they say, so we should be fine. So Rick's now just going to slice up this olive-fed ribeye, and we're going to use that with the sauce. But then what we've done here with this this wagyu here, this stuff, we've just seared it with the peppercorns on the outside. And unlike sort of a normal dry peppercorn that usually burns and has that horrible thing, this has just gone almost like a paste, almost like a tapenade type effect. It's just beautiful. So what you should get is hopefully a really nice crust on the outside, which should hopefully bring the flavouring. Is that all right? Do you want a big bit?
It must be great to see your product being cooked with, used in this way, adding to dishes. That must be quite
amazing.
rewarding.
It looks like it's dissolved into the wagyu.
So we just monte it down with the butter. No, it's fine. It's nice to see it sliced. And like I said, when you've got good quality, meat like this, and again, it goes back to that story. You want to talk about it being, an olive-fed, beef, and then you're seasoning it with, the peppercorns and stuff. I think for chefs, it's a masterpiece for us because it absolutely makes us look like a hero.
Yeah.
We cook it, but actually, it's your product that's doing the work in regards to bringing the flavour out of the different.
But it's finding those combinations, though. I mean, it amazes me what people use it with. I think Ottolenghi used one of our long peppers in a 21-ingredient pineapple chutney. Only he can do that.
I mean, and that's a good point, Steve, is that one of the things, a great taste process, yes, it's for retail, of course, it's for the delis, the farm shops, the food halls, it's for those shelves so that the black and gold logo, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, gives the customer a sort of genuine steer of what is great because panels of experts have said so, and that's true, but it also can help in food service, in hospitality, for chefs, because actually some of their job is already done. Some of the sourcing job is done. These wonderful products are identified to them. I'm actually really hungry watching that, which is slightly torturous.
Would you guys want to come and grab a bit and we'll dip it in a little sauce? So you could try that, and then everyone can have the sort of the food porn bit of watching you two make noises hopefully and do stuff.
There was some wonderful golden forks last night. We had a real range of products. We had a frozen, obviously a gelato made from, I think it was Greek yogurt. Some wonderful chocolates. We get several beers in those final golden forks. So have a look online, greattasteawards.co.uk. You can see all the big winners and the golden forks in great taste. But it's worth just understanding that there is 1-star, 2-star, 3-star. All very close, all very marginal in the difference, but there is a subtle difference.
Right, so here's the taste test. So I just wanted to see, like I said, tasting it on its own is wonderful. And you go back. And what was funny was when you said that there's different profiles of different ones. So I had a quite a mild one, then followed by quite a strong one. But again, within the sauce, it just, doesn't it? It just brings it, you're smiling, so that's good.
Well, the funny thing is I jumped in, didn't I, a bit too readily, and I had it without the sauce. And I was amazed that you'd managed to actually crisp it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's soft, isn't it? But actually having it both ways was fantastic.
But this other wagyu, because literally this wagyu is so good that you just want to put some on the outside, sear it, so you almost have it part cooked, raw in the middle. But John, come and try. I want you to just sort of come and dip as well.
I feel a bit wrong having some before everybody else. Thank you.
Should we put this on little plates? It's probably the easy way, isn't it? I'll get the little plates.
Really good. Really good.
I mean, the meat for free down that is amazing.
What other?
as well, it really is.
So, are you just pepper, Michael? You got other things out there? What else? What else?
No, so
Just do-
pepper, here we go, long pepper, different
Yeah.
family,
One and one.
goes vertically, Piper retrofactum and Piper longum.
Okay.
So long red and long black. Palmyra tree flower sugar, very healthy sugar. I know that doesn't make sense really, but it's got a glycemic index less than 30. It's completely natural, unbelievably flavourful. The fleur de sel, spent also 4 or 5 years developing vanilla.
Okay.
Yeah, which probably will be commercially ready next year because Seb, who's the mad scientist who came up with the fermented red and fermented green, will never ever take, and this is a great thing, they'll never take anything to market unless it's absolutely ready. And he's been happy to try lots of different, vines. Another vine grower, obviously, is good with those. But yeah, that might be commercially available next year. But yeah, there are opportunities for other products there, but specifically in Campot region, the pepper's the key thing. It's the thing that's really elevated the area. And like we say, look, it's got quite a lot of new entrants in the last few years. Maybe some people with bigger pockets, but I think that's great because with it being a certified pepper, if you're developing more and more volume at high end, then it can only get to a wider audience, and then it's up to the audience to determine whether yours is in the upper echelon or in the middle or somewhere.
Decided by the process. And how do people find you, Michael? How do we get hold of you? How are they going to source some of this wonderful pepper from you?
Well, you can get from us directly, but through
start
also
taking them out?
Artisan Food Club, and we're in Whole Foods, but they've changed the system.
Yep.
We might be back in there relatively soon. For the fermented, I think you're best coming through the website for the time being because we've got to take a rain check on the quantities, and then look, we supply direct to shops as well, so they can come straight to me or through me, and then we can have a dialogue.
That's good. That's good. Thank you very much, Michael. I love hearing from producers, and that's one of the things I just want to sort of confirm or assure with you that Great Taste identifies people who care, people who are bothered, people who make great products, and that's why it's important that we hear from people like Michael who understand their product. I beg of you as retailers, when you're sourcing products, speak to your supplier. You'll very quickly find out those who don't understand their own product, and they should, because you can learn from them as retailers, and that will help you talk to your customers in a far better way, in a more educated way about the products you're selling. And as we all know, knowledge about your product helps sell more products in your shop. And I think now more than ever, we need to remind our customers that spending money on good quality, well-made food, it's going to be tricky over the next year or two. So we have to educate them about the products and keep them entertained and teach them more about it. Well done, Michael. I'm going to say once again, well done, Supreme Champion.
Thank you very
No mean
much.
feat.
Yeah.
Out of 14,205 products, ladies and gentlemen, this man and his team and those farmers and those ladies.
By the way, just as an addendum, the farmers and FarmLink are the real stars,
There you
I'm
go.
just the conduit, really.
Well, that's very fair of you. But Michael, well done and congratulations again.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And thank you, Rick, for preparing that. Thank you, Steve. Delicious.
worries. Thank you very
really,
much.
very, very good. I hope it gets out there. And it is
Thank you.
lunchtime. Thank you very much,
That's
ladies and
fantastic.
gentlemen. GreatTasteAwards.co.uk. Look out for the black and gold logos. Thank you.